Okay, everybody. I went and picked up one of these Ryobi 18-volt weed eaters. Now, everybody knows 40 volts probably going to be a lot more powerful, and there's some of these 18-volt weed eaters that are pretty wimpy. This is actually the expanded kit. Expanded because you can rotate that, push the little button in, and then the whole head comes off. I've got a whole bunch of different head attachments for my gas-powered weed eater. That's the expanded. We've got a bush, I don't know what you call it, but almost like a little bush hog chainsaw blade to one of these things. We'll check that out here in a few minutes and see how well it does. But first, this is the factory head. This is the factory base. Not a whole lot to it. You know, you get them in the box. I just took it out of the box, put one screw here, holds this little brush guard on. You have a blade right here. You can turn this and make it 2 inches smaller cut. That gives you a little bit more power. I've got it set right now to the max width. If I'm going to cut it, I want to cut as much as I can, as quick as I can. We've got the low high selector, makes your battery last longer. There's the safety, you push it down, push the trigger, and then you got a little handle right there. And again, that's the little part that rotates to hold the expanded on. So this came with a 4 amp hour battery. Instead of wasting a bunch of your time, I've got it fully charged. We're gonna plug it in and see how well it does. All right, so this came preloaded with some string, but before I get all dirty, I want to show you how this loads up. Pretty nifty. So this has got the bump stop, so whenever you bump it on the ground because it's spinning out, it'll let it come back, feed out some string. To load the string up, you line up your arrows. You take your string. I checked the book, it says cut a 10-foot piece of string. So this will take 10 foot at a time, and then you run it through. So now I got my 10-foot piece of string here. I'm going to catch my 2 ends, because like I said, this is the factory one, so it's already kind of kinked up here. And we're going to pull it so that we have equal amount coming out. So now that we have that coming out, we can put this little tool here on it. And now we got 10 foot of string loaded up in here. Now if you're out in the yard, don't have your little tool on you, you can twist it by hand, load it up, it works just the same. So this is just a little bit quicker. Really like the way that head loads up. We're going to test out and see how well that works. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm showing you here, this is the back of my property. This is a waterway. The water comes up back there, super fertile dirt, but it's wet, so the lawnmower can't get back there. I haven't been able to cut it all year. So as you can see, this is some pretty thick brush. It's got little trees in it, and the grass itself is really thick. And I went over there with this little weed eater. Now I sped this up because I know you don't want to sit there and watch me cut with a weed eater, but this is just barely like 10 minutes and 10 seconds was what the video clip was of me cutting all this grass right here. And like I say, you can see it's some pretty tall grass, and I'm not having any issues whatsoever with this weed eater. It is cutting it maybe even better than what my gas power weed eater used to cut it. So I'm definitely happy with this here. I've got a couple more video clips here. I'm going to show you some of the other attachments, but this weed eater has definitely impressed me for an 18 volt. Now this 10 minutes of cutting, I'm cutting full throttle on high, and this burn up pretty much a whole battery, but it's a pretty good bit of cutting. So this is another little area. I wanted you to take a quick look at this. This is really some thick grass. I'm down to 2 bars, so I only have 2 bars on this battery. So I'm going to slow the video down. Watch right here on the left side. See that little tree sticking up? I didn't even feel it whenever I went over it with this weed eater. This thing was, I've got this chain head on this weed eater here, made for cutting heavy brush. And I mean, this thing is taking out little trees and everything else. And these weeds are those real thick stalks. So I just wanted to see how easy that cut. I mean, this thing is crazy. This whole video here was less than 3 minutes. I cleared this whole area. Okay, just in case you wanted to see how some of the other expanded attachments work, this was a sidewalk edger. I typically don't edge my sidewalk, so this thing up here is digging in 2 inches deep in the dirt. Didn't have any problems running that. I've got one of the old school blower heads, not the most efficient style, but this thing is working just as good as it does with my gas powered weed eater. Everything I've done has worked fabulous with this little weed eater. So once again, here's just some more video. This is the factory head with the factory string. That factory string is some really good string. This sucker is cutting fabulous. Now we have a 3/4 acre lot, and we got a lot of planters, beds my wife's got. And to do a normal weed eating of our house, it takes about 2 bars on a 4 amp hour battery. So if you are not out on the farm, this should be a pretty good weed eater for you.